evening! There's been quite the influx of new players to this lovely little dinosaur game. Many of you naturally have lots of questions and confusions about the nuances of the mechanics. It does seem like the mechanic that brings by far the most confusion is Trials, Reincarnation, and the Deities, or the Shrines. To start, I'll be going over the fact that this is mainly for solo players and is not a particularly good alternative to nesting, which has a lot better of a yield and is a lot easier to do even in gauntlet mode. Like most things in this game, it is very heavily based off of RNG, and it is not really boostable like nesting with good parents or great nesting site or survival blessing, which I will get to that in a little while. So to start off, your inherits are only based off of the number of talent points you have invested, not the inherits that you already have on that dinosaur. Now, you can have no talent points invested and still get an inherit in that when you reincarnate, which, of course, is RNG at play. It is also based on your trial score, which doesn't necessarily help you get better inherits, but it does help prevent you from getting negatives, which you need above 76% in your trials to remove the chance of getting a negative. Now, in order to see your trial score, what you want to do is go to the dinosaur you want and go to this arrow, and you can see when I hover over these, it'll show the score in the respective category. Now, the trials depend somewhat on what dinosaur you are of what you have to do. So for Rictodromeus, for speed, you have underground travel distance instead of travel distance like in general. Of course, I have biomes visited, scents identified, shrines, hunts, friendship, age, storm time weathered, total offspring, comfort bias consumed, food eaten, and food saturation eaten, water drank, water quality, and water sources visited, which is roughly what most dinosaurs have, except for aquatics, which are a little bit easier to trial. You've only got travel distance, food sat, and food eaten. All of the survival trials, hunt points, shrines, and then the rest of the normal combat trials. So you see how there's only 2 speed trials for aquatics. So that brings me to my next topic about pledging. So you see this little icon here. It means that I'm pledged or sacrificed to this deity, which will... This is a bad example for both of these because I'm actually pledged to my highest trial, which you should not do, which the reason being is that it'll actually help your trial match your lowest or second lowest. So I decided to just make a brand new dinosaur to give you guys all a very good example of how pledging helps your trials. So Tropeognathus, which one of the flyers, has pretty simple speed trials as well, just shrines and water sources visited. And I'm gonna actually do some of the speed trials so that way I can give you an example. So what I'm gonna also start off doing is pledge to the survival deity, which usually is your lowest trial because it's very difficult to get if you have nobody to play with, which is the pretty much the purpose of Reincarnation. It's when you have nobody to play with, and I don't know why they made one of the trials rely on playing with people, which is a interesting choice. Alright, so here's the survival deity on Titania, and this is basically the first of 3, of course. This is on Titan's Rise. This is the big shrine. And you'll see when I open up this menu here, when I press my interact key, it'll give me some options. So I can sacrifice, which when I do that, my survival score will match my highest score. So you want to do that so you can have bigger percentages for your trials. Pledging is the same thing, but it matches your second highest score. So what I'm going to do is that, and I'm going to take this trinket so that way I can bring it to the speed deity and get a bonus of growth. Which, there's also mini shrines, which you can do all of the same things except for sacrifice to them. But there is a way to kind of cheese that where you can have somebody kill you at the shrine and it'll count as being sacrificed, which can be handy if you don't know all of the locations of the shrines yet. Also, I'm gonna put some talent points in because I'm dying. I will do a guide relatively eventually about talents, which it'll mostly help very new players, but there's also quite a few other guides that you should look at. If it should be, you can just YouTube it, is the easiest way to find the guides. Now, the map is flooding, which is a lovely feature of this game, but I still kind of remember where the mini shrines are. And also, I'll actually show you when I get to it what the icon looks like when you're sniffing, because you see how I'm sniffing for it right now since I can't really see with the flood. If I can find it. Here we go. So you see this yellow icon next to the water. It's got the color of the respective shrine in the middle of it. And also, a side note, I'll get to later actually. So also the, oh, well, I just ran out of ability. The shrines are also, when you sniff, they're marked by this pillar, kind of. Hopefully, well, you saw it earlier. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get the blessing, and you can choose for 60 minutes or 30 minutes, which it used to actually originally be only 30 minutes, which was really annoying, especially on chill servers when you're trying to be as efficient with growing as possible. But if you read this, if you receive a blessing, you will not be able to remove this blessing until it runs out its course, which you can also get rid of it by dying. Even if you're auto-revived, it will still remove the blessing. Deity Shrine blessings grant powerful benefits, but come at the cost of greatly increasing your food and water demands. It's about 70%, 75% higher cost of food. So it's not good to do when you're bigger. At least when you're in gauntlet mode, because the bigger you get, the faster your hunger drains. So, receive blessings with caution. If you receive this blessing, the speed deity will grant you will greatly speed up the rate at which you grow. Would you like to receive a blessing? Yes, I do. So this is what the small shrines look like, and it has the respective deity on there. It's a very beautiful design. Usually the glow here is also the same color as the deity, but it's kind of muted out by the colors of the ocean. So all of the mini shrines look the same, just with their own color and deity drawing on them. But there's also, of course, as I've shown you before, the big shrines. There's big shrines in the ocean and on land. And I believe there's only 3 of each right now. Sorry, 1 of each deity for each biome. So hopefully they'll add some more when they expand the map, but you know, it's gonna be a minute. No ETAs, number 1 rule. Gotta find the other shrine. Here we go. So the big shrines can actually be smelled from quite a lot further away. So you see how I can smell the mini shrine here, but the big shrine has a circle around it to where it's easier to identify it's the big shrine. So this is a better example of the marker. It'll have kind of how the deity looks like, and then the color and stuff. And this is the large mobility shrine. My favorite design, personally. And also, a side note, for the land shrines, you can actually drink this water and get a trial from it if you have no water saturation. Obviously, I can't do that right now because everything is flooded, but that's a good note for when you're doing trials. So I'll find the last deity. And also, some dinosaurs, I believe mostly the semi-aquatics, actually need 6 of the shrines instead of 3. Which makes sense that since they can go on land and in water to get them. Which I will be able to show you an example of the underwater combat shrine. So this one is normally in the ocean, where it's supposed to be. And the deity usually looks like this. On Titania, I love the designs around the shrines. They're all different. But this is the combat deity. Very awesome. And also, if you've noticed, I'm actually doing my trials right now by going to these shrines. When you're flying, you actually can't get the unlock for it. You have to touch the ground next to the shrine in the radius of it. Which, actually, let me show you again that when you're close to the shrines, you have the debuff of it, which actually completely stops you from growing. Here we go. In the presence of the shrine, you do not grow. Dying in the presence of the shrine appeases to the power deity. So when you die in the surroundings of the shrine, it also counts as being sacrificed. Of course, it says about how it helps your trial. So now you can see I've got some speed trial stuff going on. It's not very good. So yes, I was right. Birds actually get 100% from 3 shrines. So these percents of each category become cumulative to become your speed, your respective trial percentage, like the overall percent, which is what the other one was before. So you see how I have no hunt trials at all besides these two, so it's only a few percent. And also, another good thing to know is dying doesn't really matter if you're trying to trial hunt, because it actually didn't affect my survival trial because it was already the second best. So that was my fault. But all I have to do, also, you don't have to meet these requirements. You just lose a little more growth. But it doesn't even matter when you're small because I lost zero point 0.1 growth since I was a baby still. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pledge to the combat deity instead, which is a much better example. Also, don't feel ashamed you don't know the map very well. I have 8,000 hours in this game, and it took me a very long time to memorize Titania. I'm not even fully memorized it yet because I've only really been playing Gauntlet for a few months now. Just mostly been playing chill, actually. But trust me, you can trust me with this guide. I have a lot of knowledge of this game. Alright, here's the combat shrine coming up here. And now I will pledge to it. Anyway, so I will pledge to the combat deity, and for the sake of time, I'm gonna force respawn again because I feel like it. Also, you don't get the sacrifice benefits at mini shrines if you force respawn. It's only if somebody else kills you there in the vicinity. So now I am pledged to the power deity, which matches my survival trial now. So obviously, when you have way better trials than a spawn baby trope, it'll be more worth it to actually try to reincarnate because you want it to be as high of a percent as possible, because I believe it kind of helps your chances of inheritance, if anything. That's pretty much the basics of reincarnating. Now I'll show you the pledges. So also you see how I'm, oh wait, never mind. I guess if you revive, it actually gives you the blessing back. So this is survival or speed blessing, and it increases your growth rate by 50%. Of course, at the cost of hunger. And also, you can stack blessings. So you can have all three at the same time if you really hate yourself. But, I'm gonna do that actually for this video, so enjoy my suffering. So I'm back at the survival deity, and I'm gonna bring this trinket to the combat deity. So also, you always have to take a trinket from the deity that you don't want the blessing from, technically. So it's kind of harder to explain because it's 3 of them instead of 2. But you always want to take the trinket from not the deity you want to bless to, which I will give you an example in a minute. That I cannot get the survival blessing from it. As it says in the prompt down there, you must be carrying a trinket from a power or mobility shrine to receive a blessing. And it also looks like it took my trinket. Whoops. There we go. Got a new one. Now we will actually find the combat shrine this time. So personally, I don't really ever get this blessing. I just don't really make good use of it typically. I usually just revive normally. I don't care about losing growth. So, I can get this blessing. And I don't know why I did 60 minutes. It's just muscle memory. And this one gives the perk where when you die, upon death, the deity will help resurrect your creature, so that way most of your resurrection requirements will already be met. Of course, the cost is being hungrier. So now, one of the second most blessing, one of the second most useful blessings we will get is the survival blessing, which mostly helps with nesting and very good. So the survival blessing, what it does is it does a lot. When you're incubating eggs, your comfort and movement speed are not as adversely affected. So there should be an icon around here when you're incubating eggs, which also that is helped with 5 GP. So if you have 5 good parent, there's no point for that perk since it's already completely mitigated with 5 good parent. But there's a lot more benefits to the survival blessing. It makes your eggs gestate much quicker. Like, it only takes like 2 minutes for eggs to be ready if you have 5 good parent. Your eggs have an increased chance of receiving bioluminescent mutations, which on the server there's a lot of hacked in bioluminescent dinosaurs, which really frustrates me. They're hacked in by somebody else, but they can pass like 50 to 100% of the time because of the way it messes with the files. So if oopsie. So if both parents have the blessing, this is actually increased as well. And it reduces the cost of laying a nest, which is almost 100, which is always all of your ability and stamina, and it instead takes half. It doesn't matter which dinosaur you are, it always takes half if you're blessed to the survival deity. Your offspring will, well, I believe it shouldn't be any negatives, but it does say it is reduced chance to get negative inherits. Yeah, it says the chances will become 0. Of course, it costs, it makes you get a lot hungrier. So it does also boost the chance of getting a positive inherit. It says further increases the odds of passing talent inherits to children. This stacks with Great Nesting Site World Event, which is very useful. So also, with all 3 blessings, as you can see, I'm not in Gauntlet or anything, but I already lose 1 food and 1 water per tick. I'm already almost starving. When you're trial hunting, you really just want to go around and drink every water you see and sniff every dino you see. Try to kill some things so you can get hunt points. Also, going around and finding all of the biomes can be a bit of a chore, but you can do it, and it'll help you learn the map a lot easier. Of course, as I mentioned before, it doesn't really matter if you die while trial hunting because they stay the same if you resurrect your dinosaur. But I hope you enjoyed this guide. It's a good quick start, I hope, for all of you. Just as a reminder, nesting is typically a lot better, and also if you get bad inherits, you'll still have the dinosaur to make more eggs for you, which means it doesn't take hours and hours to just have a new try at getting positive inherits. Oh, also a side note, I guess it's not necessarily related, but any spawn dinosaur can get a maximum of 10 inherits and a minimum of 7 inherits. And I believe also a maximum of 2+2s, which isn't too bad because spawn dinosaurs way back when used to only get like 4 inherits max, and then nesting was like insanity. But also, +2s count as 2 inherits towards that max as well. Just another side note. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave a like and comment. Subscribe if you will. Have a good evening.